Hello. So the topic of this video is unit conversion and analysis. Now, mostly this unit conversion is something you've already done, but I'm just going to do it a few times with more advanced examples, or less everyday examples rather. So just watch the examples. If I have 5 yards of distance, some 5-yard long thing, and I want to know how far that is in feet. Well, I need to do a unit conversion from yards to feet. Now, you may know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. 1 yard. Alright, so what you do is you take your 5 yards and you need to multiply by a conversion factor. And we can make that conversion factor if we know how many feet there are in a yard. We need to put yard on the bottom and feet on the top of this fraction, and because that will allow us to cancel out the yards. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. After I cancel out the yards, I'm left with 15 feet. Alright, so let me just do a few more examples. How about I have, 4 hours, and I want to know how many seconds. So I've got 4 hours here. Now, ideally, I want to go from hours and convert it into seconds, but I don't really know how many hours there are in a second. I can go to minutes. So let's see if that'll help. 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, if I were to perform this multiplication, I would know how many minutes there are in 4 hours. I don't want minutes, so let's just keep going. I'm going to multiply by another factor, cancel out the minutes, and leave me in seconds. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Minutes cancel out, and I will be able to convert from hours into seconds. Seconds are the only unit left on top. So this is 4 times 60 times 60, which is 14,400 seconds. A lot of seconds. So you can actually perform multiple conversions at once. We wanted to go from hours to seconds. We went to minutes first, but we did get to seconds in the end. You can also convert multiple kinds of units at a time. If I'm going 10 miles per hour, that's the way you would write that, miles over hour, and I want to know how fast that is in meters per second. Well, that's a common unit used in physics, so let's see if we can convert from 10 miles an hour to meters per second. So, I see that I have miles. I need to turn that into meters. Well, let's see if we can do it in one go. Miles goes on the bottom because I'm trying to cancel it out. Meters will be on top. Now, I happen to know that in 1 mile there are 1,600 meters because I used to run track, and we called it a 1,600. So the miles cancel out, and I'm left with meters per hour. But that's not what I want. I want meters per second. So now I need to deal with that hour. Now see, hour is on the bottom here. So in order to cancel it out, I need to put hour on the top of my conversion factor. Now we just did this. Let's go to minutes first. There in 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. That cancels hour, and I'm in meters per minute. In 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. That cancels minutes, and I'm in meters per second. So it looks like the math I perform is 10 times 1,600 divided by 60 divided by 60 again. Let's try that out, and I'm getting 4.4 meters per second. Alright, so that is unit conversion. Basically, you have a strange amount of power in creating these conversion factors, and you get to decide whether hour or minute goes on the top. You need to do it correctly so that the units that you don't want cancel out and leave you with the units that you do want, like meters on top and seconds on the bottom. Alright, now let's talk about unit analysis a little bit. That looks very similar to the unit conversion that we just did, except it allows you to actually solve problems. For example, some unit analysis you've probably done at some point is, let's say we have something that costs $2 per pound, and I want to buy 3 pounds of it, and I want to find out how much that's going to cost. Well, if I multiply by 3 pounds, the pounds cancel, and I'm left with $6. That's how much it's going to cost. So you probably already knew that's how that was going to be, but really you were performing unit analysis to find that out. Let's see, about a more difficult one. Let's say you're traveling at 60 miles per hour, and you want to know how long it's going to take you to go 10 miles. Go 10 miles. Well, let's look at this. If I have 60 miles per hour, well, if I multiplied by 10 miles, that's not right. That doesn't cancel anything. Well, if I divide by 10 miles, or multiply by 1 over 10 miles, that does cancel miles, but then it doesn't leave me with hours on the top. That would be per hours. That's not really the unit we're looking for. We're looking for hours, the amount of time. What you can actually do is flip this number. We want to go 10 miles. And in order to do it, we know that every 1 hour we travel 60 miles. So we get 1/6 of an hour, which is, I suppose, 10 minutes. See, we actually flipped over your speed here, multiplied by the distance you wanted to go. Now, this is something that you can try to do in your head when you're driving and you're going to be late. I do that a lot, and it's a little tricky because you have to remember that you flip over the speed and multiply it by the distance. It seems a little strange, but really it's the only way that you can get hours on its own and on the top of the fraction, which means that it is just the unit hours, the time that we're looking for. And that's about it for unit analysis and unit conversion. Thanks.